Well, I think we might as well start the meeting. It looks like we have everybody, from the committee on the Zoom today. I just wanted to let you know to begin with that the last town board meeting, the off-street parking and the NRI was adopted for new codes. So a couple more we have on the books now. And for the December town board meeting, the short-term rentals is going to be addressed on that. All we're doing is moving it forward without any fee or anything, because that's going to be determined by, the staff and the town board. So that may make it more acceptable to being passed. Today, as you noticed with the emails that Eric sent out, there's 3 different items on the agenda. So if there aren't any questions, I'll turn it over to Eric so we can get going on the different proposed changes. Eric?
All right, so everybody can hear me, right?
Yep.
Share my screen. So in that email I sent out late last month, I think it was, said we were going to talk about manufactured homes, lighting, and the neighborhood commercial zoning. The manufactured homes, we'll start there, I guess. I asked Chris Jensen to join us because he has some better information on this than I, and of course he helped us draft this initially. So when we sent this out for comments, we had the suggested change, I think pretty much verbatim as recommended by Chris. We got comments back from the county planning board that language about mobile homes shall be allowed in all residential or mixed use districts where single family homes are allowed to avoid discriminatory intent. So
the underlying thing is it should say both single wide and double wide. I guess New York State has come under scrutiny because they passed laws in local zoning, or not New York State, but local people have been getting in suits because placement of manufactured homes. A manufactured home is a single family dwelling, just like any other single family dwelling. There's manufactured homes, there's factory built homes, there's stick built homes, there's factory built homes. There's all different things. They're all considered single family homes. So we can't, we could, but we're opening ourselves up. But the siting with single wide manufactured homes shall be permitted only in a manufactured home park within the town of Canandaigua is what we have written. If we could just keep the 1,100 square feet of living space, that kind of negates having to have that one section that says single wide manufactured homes shall only be in parks kind of thing.
So Chris, on this, what does the existing code say? Exactly.
That's what the existing code reads: the siting of single wide manufactured homes shall be permitted only in manufactured home parks within the town of Canandaigua, stating that pretty much that single wide manufactured homes aren't regular single family dwellings, but in the eyes of the state and everything, and I know we're different from the state and we're home rule and stuff, but in the eyes of the state, a single wide manufactured home is the same as a single family dwelling. But we do have a section of code that says Eric, is it this, the 1,100 square feet, the only place that's mentioned?
No, I think it's a section in 229 immediately after this that says something about 1,100 square feet too.
So what happens is the 1,100 square feet pretty much eliminates single wide manufactured homes outside of manufactured home parks.
So yeah.
So we don't have to.
I question that we do not differentiate in this ordinance between manufactured homes and mobile homes. And I think there's a very significant distinction between the
there is not. So a mobile home, there's no such thing as a mobile home since 1973. A mobile home is a manufactured home. They changed the definition. So no one's
Who
built a
changed,
mobile
who
home.
changed the definition?
New York State.
So in the state's eyes, there is no differentiation between a mobile home and a manufactured home?
So a mobile home is what they used to call manufactured homes. Anything built after 1973 is a manufactured home, or 1976. We have the same definition, manufactured dwelling.
In New York
There's no
State's
such
eyes,
thing.
Chris?
In our eyes too, we passed this back in 76 or 73 or 70. Anyway, our definition, like you see on our screen, there's no such thing as a mobile home really anymore. A manufactured, in your eyes, like when I say mobile home park, it's a manufactured home park.
So the single wide manufactured home comes in on wheels where the double wide doesn't?
They all come in on wheels. My point is municipalities in New York State have opened themselves up for lawsuits when, and we did have a visit from the Department of State coming in because of, was it Rittenberg? She was
Yeah.
placing a manufactured home in that lot of hers. And Tim King, who used to work for the state, stated that we were being discriminatory, saying the siting of a single wide manufactured home can only be inside a park. And the state came in, I told them, we'll look at that section, but we have a minimum of 1,100 square foot requirement for any home. So we're not singling out manufactured homes, and that the skirting that we require be permanent isn't a foundation or telling them how to build a foundation. It's simply an aesthetic requirement, which we can have.
I go back to John's original question, I think, if I understood him. Why are we differentiating manufactured homes I mean, if it's a dwelling, it's a dwelling. And why are we prescribing square footage or zoning district it might be in?
So that's what I'm saying. We don't need to, we should get rid of the fact that it says the siting of a single wide manufactured home shall be permitted only in a manufactured home park, because we should allow them outside parks, but we do have the 1,100 square foot living space, but that's something maybe we can look at down the line if we want small homes and stuff.
Why do we even identify a manufactured home? If you're worried about a foundation, just say something to the effect they have to comply with state regulations as far as stability or integrity or whatever.
So when a manufactured home is built, they have specific details on manufactured home, and they all have that plastic skirting and stuff, which I think the intent of this code was, because there's a section on section 4, if you can scoot down a little bit, Eric, it says all double wide manufactured homes located outside a manufactured home park shall be sited on a full perimeter foundation with concrete or concrete block foundation walls. That kind of is, again, contrary to New York State's design guides. For the manufacturer decides how they build a foundation for a mobile home. They could be on piers, posts, columns, all these different things. We should simply say they should have, and if we go down a little more is how we changed it. Eric, yeah. The use of plastic or metal type skirting is not permitted. The placement is for aesthetic purpose. The foundation shall be installed per manufacturer's stamp plans. That sort of stuff. We should do that rather than.
Shouldn't that apply also to a stick-built home? I mean, again, I wonder why we have to identify a manufactured home when all homes, whether they're panelized, whether they come as a double wide, whether they come on wheels or on a trailer, or there's, again, stick-built, why are we differentiating a manufactured home or so-called manufactured home?
I agree.
So I guess I have a question. So, well, first of all, the whole thing about the foundation. So back in the early 90s, I actually sold manufactured homes. So I'm familiar with the industry standards and what's going on. And actually, when you put it on a foundation like that, then traditionally the bank would do 30-year financing and all those types of things. So that's all, everything in our code, those are industry standards. But I guess my question I go back to is, why are we doing anything? If this ordinance has been in place since at least 2005, I saw on the one thing, and prior to that, the 70s, I don't think that the inquiry was too serious since I'm the fair housing officer for the town of Canandaigua and I wasn't contacted. So my guess is, honestly, I would just leave it. I don't think it's a huge problem.
I
Is-
remember, oh, I'm sorry. I think last month, John brought this up, and it seems like one of the problems we're having is dealing with a stereotype. The worst of what we used to call trailer parks and all that, nobody likes that look, or a lot of people don't anyway. But on the top end, a lot of manufactured homes are really pretty slick. They really look pretty good. So it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what we're dealing with is a stereotype. A lot of people don't know, even what, Chris, you're educating us today. We weren't aware of some of this stuff, but I think the public just thinks in terms of mobile homes, which that term doesn't even exist anymore. And if they're paying a lot in taxes, they don't want those kinds of structures or dwellings in their town. And it seems to me there's a stereotype here. And Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the high end, some of the manufactured homes are pretty slick.
No, they are. And I think to your point, Bob, that's why, I think that's why this section of code was in here the way it was, to try to discourage it. Whether or not, it would hold up in court, that's truthfully, I mean, we need to be cognizant of that, but it's also not something that we have to necessarily, I don't think that it's a priority issue right now.
Okay.
I thought when we started this discussion on these homes that we were talking about skirting and stuff like that, that was mandated by the state. So we were just going to change it for that. And when I was on the zoning board, I remember at least once, maybe 2 or 3 times, it came before us because over on Popular Beach or Sandy Beach, one or the other, I don't recall which, they have, mobile homes, if you will, over there. And we allowed the existing ones to be replaced because they were falling into disrepair. So we already have, them on the lake at the present time existing and have existed for a lot of years.
I think you're right, Gary. I think we started our discussion, we were primarily focused on the skirting. It was an aesthetic issue, maybe a safety issue too. And I guess it's maybe evolved a little bit beyond just the skirting.
I think other than the skirting and the integrity of the foundation, the whole thing is discriminatory.
Well, why don't we just stick with the skirting revision?
So will we take out the part about the residential lake district and allow them there also?
I would allow, if they can afford the lot, they can put whatever they want there.
So we should take that out too.
I think that's discriminatory. Yep.
So how does the other places in our code, we talk about the minimum size of a dwelling being 1,100 square feet.
That's discriminatory as well.
Well,
That's legal and stuff, according to the state. You can do that, and that's what makes it so you can say it automatically eliminates single wide manufactured homes in other zoning districts by doing the 1,100 square feet.
I'd leave that alone.
What are you going to do when down the road somewhere, maybe the tiny homes is allowed?
You're going to get a lot of advocates of that. Yep.
We did write a code that we maybe can look at in the future for those.
So what's the bottom line with this one now?
It's up to you guys.
What are we ultimately trying to accomplish, Chris? Just the foundational issues?
The controversy was the fact that we've said that they have to have a full concrete block foundation extending below the frost line.
Yep.
Because we can't tell the state how a foundation's built, because the manufacturer, like Doug was saying, they have their own designs, their own this, their own pads and stuff. And there's certain foundation goes with the building. So if they go with a punched footer or something like that, we can't tell them, no, you can't use that, because that's their design. That's their stamped engineered design. So we could just change the thing that says, get rid of the below frost line below this and just go with their acceptable design and some sort of aesthetic concrete or concrete block or something. And that's more of an aesthetic and has nothing to do with manufacturers or what the state approved or anything like that. As
It's
far as
also
those
a
other things,
it's a maintenance issue
up to
too.
you guys.
The concrete would be less maintenance than having to put a skirt back on every time the wind comes up.
and they get damaged by weed whackers and lawnmowers and
Yep.
stuff like that.
No, I agree with Chris.
That's fine. What's the difference? Looking at B and C, it says the foundation shall be installed per manufacturer's stamp plans. And then C says it's at the discretion of the manufacturer or owner if the foundation incorporates the permanent aesthetic wall, which
So
is I mean, what?
So some of their foundations are piers that are just like poured 3-foot round concrete piers in the center of the building and stuff like that, where they would have to put another permanent outside kind of perimeter in. It's up to them if they build that perimeter with their foundation or they build that perimeter separate from their foundation.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to tell them how to do it, kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
It could or it couldn't have structural purpose, Terry.
It's totally up to them.
Mhm.
So what do you want to do with this one? What changes do you want to make, or any?
I'm guessing that Chris just wants A, B, and C added.
And whatever's above there.
It's up to you on the other ones.
The paragraph
Whether or not-
4.
So yeah, this is our original suggested change, which doesn't sound like anybody has any issue with.
Nope.
And then there was just the conversation about the
Taking out the
prohibition from the
RLD.
RLD.
I think when you go to a public hearing, you're gonna have people squawk about the square footage and so on, and about the RLD issue.
We'll just tell them it was your idea, Tom.
Yeah, those already exist. This all already exists. It's whether or not you want to get rid of it.
Right.
I think the only thing we need there is the A, B, and C that you want, Chris, and get rid of all the rest of it.
Right, I
No, I'm
agree
saying-
with you, Tom.
The rest of it actually already exists in our code.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah, leave it.
Well, I think you should get rid of it. The fact that it already exists doesn't make it correct. I think
No. What you're
it's-
looking at exists.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
you're opening Pandora's box, you guys. Think about to your conversation. Think about all the people that could show up and say, what? You're going to allow a single wide mobile home next to my McMansion on the lakefront? You really want to open that?
Again, if they can afford the lot, they can do whatever they want.
Well, I think to your point, Doug, we often have in our zoning meetings, questions about whether it's in conformance with the neighborhood. And I don't think that manufactured homes would be in conformance with the neighborhood if it's sitting next to a multi-million-dollar residence.
It's a slippery slope.
That's one of the 5 questions that come up before the zoning board all the time, Tom.
That's for a variance.
That's for a
That's
variance.
one of the things we're asked to evaluate.
I'm talking from a legal assumption. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing to do, but I'm thinking if we got challenged, we could lose.
Well, you could lose a lot of things. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
maybe we should just wait to get challenged, okay?
Hey,
Yeah.
Eric,
yeah.
I had sent you an email. I don't know if you want to pop that up, that section of law.
Was it a recent email?
It was in response to this and stuff. Right there.
But again, I question how quote unquote controversial this issue is. In the years you guys are talking about a single example in the last 25 years, or maybe less than a half a dozen even. Why open ourselves up to all of this?
Right.
Agreed.
No,
I agree.
the only reason I brought it up is because when the state came in, they mentioned it and they referenced this section that was adopted in 2015.
So bottom line, Chris, what are you recommending?
I'm not really recommending anything except for the change in the footers and the foundation thing. It's up to you guys if you want to go further than that.
Let's just go with Chris's recommendation.
That's good for me.
A, B, and C, right?
Yep.
Well, that
Leave everything else the way it was.
whole
Can I
section
get-
4, right? That paragraph, section 4, which includes A, B, and C. I think there was a cross out of something.
Yeah.
I'd like
This, the original section was deleted, which related to the foundation, and the new sections that Chris recommended.
Okay, so that section is the change.
Yeah, but if in the future you want to bring up the other thing, could you bring up the email again there, Eric? So here is the new executive law that they passed in 2015 that they provided to us was it places limits on local government regulation of manufactured homes. It provides that a manufactured home that is affixed to a permanent foundation conforms with the identical development specification standards, including general aesthetic and architectural standards applicable to conventional single-built family in which manufactured homes recited shall be deemed to be conforming single-family dwelling for the purpose of the applicable local zoning law and ordinance.
Right. And so what
That
that says to me is that if somebody wants to place a single family home or a double wide for that matter in the RLD and they're going to the zoning board, they can use that as really good example as to
Okay.
why they should get the variance, as opposed to us changing the law and really truthfully opening it up to more issues.
My only issue is that, and I said it to begin with, if it's on a permanent foundation, there are a lot of very attractive manufactured homes being built today. In a lot of homes, the walls, my home as an example, all the framing and all the walls were manufactured off-site, brought on to the site and erected in place. So it is partially manufactured, I would say.
It's panelized.
It's panelized, yes.
It's
And I
factory
don't
built.
have a problem with a manufactured home as long as it sits on a foundation. What I have an issue with is someone bringing in a mobile home that's placed on wheels and blocked up and not.
That's a recreational vehicle or a travel trailer, and we don't permit them.
Well, wait. So you're also
Oh,
talking
okay.
about a difference between manufactured homes and modular homes, okay? And this is really popular, like in Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, even. There's some in places in New York, but you have tons of places that manufacture, like in Pennsylvania, outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, they manufacture manufactured homes, and it sits on a frame. And the home is constructed on a metal frame, and then wheels are attached to the frame. It gets to the site, you pull the wheels off, you place it on a foundation or place it on footers, on piers, whichever the case, but the main support is on the metal frame that's under it. Versus a modular home, like for instance, what John's talking about, it could be manufactured off-site, it could be delivered to the site, it's picked up usually with a crane off of the frame and then placed on a slab and stuff. So there's a couple of different things. Usually the manufactured homes have a HUD sticker on them since 1976. Is that still the case, Chris? Do you know?
Yeah, the thing he was talking about RVs and things you drag behind your car and just park on a site.
Well, no, but
No.
modular homes, they can be picked up, pieces could be constructed and then assembled together. I mean, I know a $4 million home that's technically a modular home that was constructed off-site in pieces and then assembled on site.
Okay, a
Yeah.
factory built.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they have a HUD sticker, New York State sticker. They're governed by a different set of rules. We don't do the inspections kind of thing. So yeah, they have this big sticker in the bedroom. I believe John was talking about someone with an RV parking it on a parcel with the wheels still on it.
Are you not going to allow me to put an RV park on Paul Kellogg's property?
I'm Go for it. Not my call.
So Chris, can we just expand on that a little bit? So if someone was to do that and take the wheels off and place it on a minimal foundation, how is that classified in our ordinances now? Would that be a
So
manufactured
what are you
home?
talking? You're talking about like an RV, like one of these big. See, there's so many different terms. I apologize. There's factory built, modular, mobile, manufactured. So if it's an RV or travel trailer, something that you see at a campground, we don't consider those single family dwellings, and they aren't permitted in any zoning district as a habitable structure.
So maybe the issue is more definition than it is anything.
No, we have every single one of those defined very well in our code.
So what I heard Doug just talk about, though, was the difference between a manufactured home and what he classified as a modular home.
A modular home is a factory built home, and that's no different than any other stick built home. It's just built somewhere else.
Okay.
A manufactured dwelling is built in a factory licensed by New York State, and it has a sticker in the bedroom that says it was built to this energy code, can be installed in this weathered area, this snow load, this and that. So, and then they're built to a lesser standard usually, where we require R21 on the walls. Sometimes they're only R15. They use different wiring, different framing and stuff. They're different, but they meet New York State codes as far as manufactured dwellings.
That helps.
So to go back to this ordinance and wrap it up,
Yeah,
you're just going to take off that first number one, the citing of single
Yeah.
wide. Does that come out?
That's the only one I'm concerned. No, not that one. I was talking about the other one, but anyway.
You're talking about eliminating number one?
I had it noted here because we were having a conversation about it, but you guys tell me what you want to do.
Well, that's what we already have on the books, right?
Right.
Well, just leave the thing alone and change
Leave it
number
in.
4.
Right.
Leave it in. Yep.
Leave it in. And how about making the changes where we need to make them on number 4 there?
Yep.
You're saying Chuck and
Yeah.
that, leave that in, extended below the frost line?
Yep.
Okay, and then the A, B, and C too, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And that takes care of it. Can I get a motion to that effect that we accept this changes to
So moved.
this ordinance?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? No discussion. This will be moving forward then in regards to, the manufactured homes.
You gonna vote on it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. Huh? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Carried. Thanks, Terry.
Well, it is being recorded, Gary. You gotta be careful.
Right. So, Eric, you want to move on to the next topic?
Sure. Let's do the lighting one next. And I was hoping Chris would join us. I know that the guy who had kind of initiated this whole thing had made a reappearance at some point. Chris, can you catch us up with what's going on there, and if our draft code would
Our draft code, just like any other code, would require a determination made by the code enforcement officer that the guy's lights are objectionable. And I don't know if I want to go on paper, and because then it's like, what's your opinion of objectionable? And it's he said versus she said and everything. And I don't know how to draw that line and stuff. I went out there, I drove out there at night. The one on the street, yeah, it's bright, but it lights up the entrance. It is in the public right of way, so he's actually paying rent from the utility company to have a Cobra head drop down fixture at the street of his entrance. It's not full cutoff, and we could request it be changed and stuff because it wasn't installed with a permit. And we require full cutoff for those size fixtures. As far as the ones on his barn, it doesn't hit that 0.25 foot candles at the property line. Is it objectionable? It's not a spotlight. It doesn't shine into the guy's windows. But yeah, at night, he probably gets a glare off the thing. So again, it's an opinionated thing. It's not a very black and white. And I have a hard time saying what's what and whether I would consider it glare or not.
So
Oh,
you
Mr.
have difficulty enforcing the current code is what you're telling us, Chris.
I would have difficulty enforcing the new code and the old code. It's
Subjective.
what you would consider glare. I might not consider glare. Some people have bad night vision. They see spikes off lights and stuff when they drive at night. I don't know how
And they
I
don't
would
like
say-
their neighbor.
Yeah, or they don't like this. But the guy, yeah, I mean, he has some serious lights on his garage, but does it light up the neighbor's building? No. Can you see in the dark? Yeah, you can walk around and see, okay. It's probably only 0.1 foot candles, but it's weird how your eye adjusts. A bright day is 10,000 foot candles, and a full moon night that you can walk around is 0.04 foot candles. So your eyes do amazing things by adjusting for the different light levels.
Well, if the light levels that you said that it's 0.1, if
It's
if
less
0.1
it's less
foot
than
candles at the boundary of the, between the lots, then it's legal. I mean, that takes some of the subjectivity out of it and it becomes more of an
But-
objective measurement.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's an objective measurement at grade level. It's whether or not there's glare. And you can drive down like any
Yeah.
downtown of these towns. They put these new acorn lights in, and there's tons of glare, but the light level is low. It's just whether or not it's blasting in your eyes. It's a low light level, but it's how your eyes adjust because you're in a dark atmosphere. You're looking around. Your eyes have adjusted to darkness, and then you see this blasting light. It doesn't need to be 0.1 or 1 foot candle. It's just enough to get you. Driving out of a Wegmans parking lot at night, sometimes people forget to turn their lights on because it's the difference between light and dark.
Yeah.
It's all contrast.
Well, the difficult thing is separating that objective measurement from the subjective nature of the whole thing. I mean, that's, there's so many different factors, including the personal interaction factor. So
The beholder.
yeah, regarding the Cobra head that's in the right of way, though, you're saying that does not meet our code. So
No, I mean, he had a light installed in the public right of way that lights up the entrance to his driveway. It's not full cutoff. It's over the 70 watts. That's something I definitely could contact him and the utility company and say, hey, where was your permit when you installed this? But they don't need a permit to put a light on their own utility pole, but the guys renting are paying in his utility bill probably for the maintenance and having that light lit.
well, I mean, if that's something that is a code issue, it should be addressed, I would think.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing is that we could have him switch it to full cutoff, because if there was ever an accident of him pulling out of his driveway and we made him get rid of his light in the public right of way that they installed legally, I would just make sure that it's full cutoff or something. Gets rid of the glare.
Yeah. And that, that doesn't necessarily take care of the neighbors, all of his objections to what's going on, but it is the only thing that we can do legally and from an enforcement side. So
Yeah, and it's not like a glare or a determinate. It's not saying yes or no. It's a black and white kind of thing. But that being a whole nother subject, we did look at our lighting code and put some modifications in there. A lot of it, again, is subjective, though. It's hard to say what's glare, what's not, what's bright, what's not. I mean, we can go into different things, which there's bug ratings, but that gets too complicated.
Does this change much, Chris, from when we discussed this several months ago?
No, I don't think we changed much at all. I mean, we got rid of some things. Eric modified it based on our first comments, getting rid of things that says this established by the North American Association and stuff like that.
So you're content with the way it is right at the present time then?
The way it is on the books?
The way it
Right
is
now-
on what we're looking at here.
A little better, yeah. It's probably good. I don't know if we want to go through it or look at it.
It hasn't changed since earlier this year when we originally sent it out for comments to the different boards and whatnot.
Yeah, it pretty much changes because we used to have stuff that said 70 watts, 70 this, 70 that. And you know, the days of LEDs have come, and 70 watts of incandescent are a lot different than 70 watts of LED now.
Hmm.
You're
Right.
getting 7,000 lumens instead of 600.
Mhm.
I don't know, since Chris, you're the guy that's enforcing this and you're the guy that's really what I consider the resident expert on lighting. If you're comfortable with the verbiage and the enforceability, I think we've largely got to go with what Chris feels, thinks.
Yeah, I mean, but you
and-
can also look at the maximum height of poles and stuff if you guys want to look at that and see if that's something that you think's correct. I mean, say a Wegmans parking lot is about probably 35 feet tall usually. A Rite Aid or a Walgreens, stuff like that, they're usually about 27 feet tall. Again, as far as lights and how tall they are, the higher you raise a light, even if it's full cutoff, the more it can shine onto roads. So again, yeah, I'd like the changes. It makes it so it's a lot more defined and tells people they have to use full cutoff, and it's a lot less. But it still has the sections on glare, which would be very difficult to hold up. But I mean, I could always make a determination that says it's an objectionable glare, and the person has the opportunity to do an interpretation against my determination
Yeah.
and go to zoning board. And then the zoning board would go out there and say, wow, that is objectionable glare. And then it would be up to them as a court to say, yes, we're going to uphold his determination that it's objectionable glare. So we always have a process to take care of things like that.
But those instances would be rare.
Very few and far between, but
Yeah,
it might be like this guy's case. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's like the vacant building business that we sweat bullets over, and there's 3 in the town.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
someone
if-
actually bought the one on Wells Curtis and cleaned it up nice, so.
Good. I mean, those things sort themselves out, and the same here. 99% of the people, if you send them a note or a notice, they're going to comply or sit down with you and say, what's appropriate here?
Yeah.
We shouldn't sweat bullets over it.
So what changes do you want to make then, Chris? You think that's going to be beneficial to you, or keep it just the way it is and pass it that way and turn it to?
I think if you guys can just look it over and see if you like the heights and levels and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, the modifications that Eric made make sense. They're more user-friendly wording than I usually do my engineering wording and stuff, that it's more understandable.
I think it looks good. I
I
think
have
it
a
looks
few
good.
questions, a couple of questions prior to
Start,
moving forward with this. First one I have is on page 3, paragraph F, item number 6.
But there's no 6 under F. Or, sorry, we have 2 Fs. But there's still no 6 under
First
it.
F,
There's no 6.
it's we've crossed out lighting for flagpoles.
Yep.
Yeah,
So in other words, we don't want flagpoles.
no, this said it's,
Permitted.
It's permitted to have lights on flagpoles then?
It doesn't appear to be prohibitive.
Nope. I knew that was the discussion we had. How about the flagpoles that have lights on all night to light the flag?
oh, I see.
That's
Didn't
the
know here.
thing.
Leave to the discretion of
It's
the code enforcement
Yeah,
officer.
it's covered under, you can have any outdoor luminaire having a luminance source of 900 or less, providing that it doesn't shine on anyone else. So you're allowed to have a flagpole light shining at your flagpole as long as it's not a 5,000 watt HID that shines a spotlight into the sky. I mean, again, we tried to be very not
Patriot.
just not picking little things and making a huge code, just making it very generic. You're allowed to have that. Just don't shine it to your neighbor's eyeballs.
Okay. Next question I have is page 2, paragraph C. We're requiring businesses to shut off all lights after their close of business.
Where is that?
Where's that, John? What
It's
number?
right on part 1.
Number 1.
That's
It's-
actually
yeah.
already in our code.
Yeah, that's existing. So yes,
Whether it's existing or not, the point is, do we want businesses to turn off their lights after the close of business?
Yeah, I mean, energy code requires it too. It says it shall be on for reduced for the minimum level necessary to operate and security and stuff like that. I mean,
What about advertising? Some of the businesses, particularly the small businesses in our geographic area, rely on signage for advertisement. And if we,
well, this isn't saying signage. This is saying like parking lot lighting and stuff.
lighting would be signage, wouldn't it? Or could be.
No, they're two different things. I mean, it's
Yeah.
internally lit or stuff. Point being, I'm not driving around, neither is Dale looking to. It's always been in our code. If you want it changed, we can get rid of it. But I mean, it is an energy saving energy code thing as well.
yeah, and we don't consider signs and lighting to be the same thing, even though some signs can be lit.
You don't.
Hmm?
You don't. What about the
Right.
next zoning officer?
The town code doesn't.
So,
We have we have a section for lighting, we have a section for signs.
Okay.
Signs are clearly defined in the town code.
okay, so this would be other than that. Okay,
And honestly, it would be again one of those decisions whether or not what a minimum level necessary for security is. I'm not going to go out there, and I don't think anyone ever would who say, I think you need 1 foot candle instead of 5 foot candles for security kind of thing. It's something that's been in the code. It's up to you, you guys, if you want to address it sometime in the future.
I've got a minor question on page 4 at the top, and Chuck, weigh in on this. When it says all applications for site plan or special use permit are going to require a lighting plan, how are we going to give them a waiver for some nickel dime special use permit? I mean,
It's actually in town code today.
Isn't
It's
it?
just that the formatting was changed to add the numbers.
Are we, I guess I wasn't aware of it. Is that creating a disability or not?
No, so all special use permits that you guys do, or you used to do, the planning board has the ability to waive any of the requirements.
Okay, so that still exists. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
'cause
know,
you-
Tom, we look at a lot more lighting plans than we did when I first started here. I think they're usually included in the package, and they are certainly taken under consideration.
Yeah, I'm just thinking there's some nickel dime office occupancy or something, or where you hate like hell to make them do a formal lighting plan. But I guess reasonable minds will give them a waiver.
Now, on this one here, does the committee feel they need more time to look at it, or are you ready to move forward with it?
I've got a couple other questions before I'm ready to move forward with it.
Sure.
Page 5, paragraph J, item number 2.
Yep.
How do we determine how do we prevent direct lighting on the water? How do we determine what that is, or how that is applied, or how it's applied?
Well, if you're shining spotlights into the water, that's what it is. It's direct light.
So if people have lights on their docks, is that direct light?
I mean, if you look at it, if you look how the code is lighting up the water, lighting under your docks and stuff like that.
What if the light's on top of the dock?
Then that's lighting the path and just fine.
So if the light, what you're determining or what you're interpreting this to say is lighting under the dock.
Lighting that directly lights up the water.
Purposefully.
How do
Well,
you, how do you define that?
I would go out there and say, yep, you're shining light on the water for no intent otherwise than to light the water.
And if it's on the railing, it's lighting up the walkway.
Yep.
Chris, how about these, you see it a lot down here in Westlake Road, or the string lights that are strung along the dock? I mean, they light the water, but they aren't directed into the water. How
So
would you
again, that
interpret
goes
that?
back, that goes back to the under 900 lumens, and anything under 900 lumens is an exception to a lot of this stuff. But I mean, if someone's intentionally got street lighting, lighting up their entire waterfront beyond 20 foot and stuff like that, it's objectionable. If they put a light pole at the end of their dock that's 15 feet tall and an acorn so they can drive back to their dock and it lights up the entire lake, this is kind of what that's trying to prevent.
I think it's reasonable.
I think it's very subjective.
A lot of this is subjective, John. That's the problem. It's again going to be one of those, if it bothers a neighbor, we get a complaint, we go out there and we do an investigation, we make a determination whether or not it's direct light on the water, it's direct this, and then if the person has an issue with a determination made by the code enforcement officer, it'll go to the zoning board for an interpretation.
Okay.
I think we should license this code to every other municipality around the lake. Take a look across the lake at all these bright LEDs that shine, 24 hours a day, it seems.
Another question I have is same paragraph, item number 3. You say that these lights can be no more than 20 feet from shore. Well, what about the docks and the hoists that are allowed to go out 60 foot from shore?
So this is direct illumination. So this is someone that wants a swimming area at night for their kids or their family and stuff. They want to be able to light up the water. We're making it so, yes, you can light up a certain amount of your waterfront and stuff like that for safety and security. But then, I mean, the docks, you're allowed to illuminate the path, stairs, decks, everything like that, the docks. But, and then it says lighting on docks shall be no more than 3 feet above the deck and shall be directed down towards and be full cover. That's for shining and lighting up your path and everything like that. This is simply allowing someone to be able to light up the water so they can go swimming and do stuff at night.
Okay. So then your interpretation is that this is not the decks or the docks themselves. This is lighting in addition to that, or other than that, that people might light up their lakefront so that they can swim at night or enjoy the lakefront at night.
Yeah, so it says all exterior lighting shall be located, mounted, and shielded. So direct illumination is not focused towards the water surface more than 20 feet, which allows them to focus light on the water from 20 feet to the shore.
Okay. That helps me understand it.
Chris, run that by me again, which you mentioned earlier there about lighting for the flagpoles.
So the flagpoles, we didn't even mention flagpoles or add flagpoles anywhere. We kind of got rid of that stuff because in the code, it does allow for uplighting as long as it's under 900 lumens. So that would fall within that. I mean, if you go above 900 lumens to light up your residential flagpole, you're going above and beyond.
Okay.
And then you might have neighbors which object to that lighting that you're using.
Chris, could you give me an idea what 900 lumens is the equivalent of?
So 900 lumens, an LED now, say a normal colored LED, 1 watt or let's see, 10 watts. I'm trying to think lumen value. 1 watt is about 100 lumens with a good, really efficient LED. So you're talking about a 9 watt LED fixture. If you want to talk fluorescent bulb, like one of your fluorescent bulbs in the office, like a T32 or T8 32 watt is about 3,200 lumens. A high output T54 or T5.
You've lost us, Chris.
Either way. Name a light fixture and I'll tell you how much lumens.
But so like the LED that you were talking about in a dark night, that provides, more light because the contrast is higher, right? Even though it's lower wattage
Yeah, I mean,
and lumens anyways.
A Wegmans parking lot light creates 40,000 lumens. So it's all, again, it's all contrast and light to dark and uniformity kind of thing. If you're shining a 900 lumen light up at a flagpole or multiple 900 lumen lots, because you're supposed to put 3 of them, the pole's going to be lit.
Thanks.
Did you have some more questions, John?
No, I didn't. That was all.
Okay. Any other committee member have any questions?
No.
I think it's a well thought out code, and I'm glad that Chris has to enforce it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be hard if there is questions in the future of what I would consider or someone would consider glare or not. And it would really come up to, I go out to the site at night saying, yeah, that's really objectionable. I take a few pictures, which pictures never turn out what you're supposed to look like at night, taking pictures of light bulbs. And then if it went to interpretation, the zoning board would be able to go out there at the evenings too and see what they consider glare.
How many times has that happened?
I believe just with this one time, Eric, I have had to deal with this one guy, and I understand his frustration. I think a lot of it's COVID based too. People get frustrated. They're stuck at home a lot more, and they focus on 1 or 2 little things that are annoying the hell out of them.
What neighborhood are we talking about?
On Knott Road.
That road.
It's on the east side of Knott Road.
East, I thought was on the south side.
Well, okay, yeah, it is on the south side of Knott Road, but I just wanted to split it from 21.
Oh,
It's east of 21, between 21 and Middle Cheshire.
yep. So Chris, you're content with the changes that have been made?
Yes.
Then we can move forward with it as a committee.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
If there's any more, is there any discussion? Not, we'll vote on it. Everybody in favor of moving the lighting code to the town board for a public hearing, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No. Carried.
There was
Okay.
a third one we were going to talk about, the neighborhood commercial, but since it's 10 o'clock right now, maybe we should just kick that till the next meeting.
Okay. Is there anything else any committee member wants to briefly mention?
Eric, on that neighborhood commercial, it's kind of tough to interpret what you're asking for as far as changes or inclusion from what you sent out. Can you maybe define it a little better? It almost looks like something was not included. I was trying to figure out what we were going to talk about. Not that I want to talk about it, but I was just trying to figure out if any clarification could be made.
Yeah, because all it is there's red lines by the side of it. Okay, mine doesn't show up the blue.
No, mine didn't either. That was the problem. Okay.
And make sure you,
Yep.
when you're looking at it in Word, just make sure you have the track changes on. Sorry.
Where is the neighborhood commercial?
There's one parcel, it's what, like Mumro's Metal Shop or whatever, right by Eric's office.
Yeah.
Cheshire.
And then Cheshire is the big one. It's not really a big district, but it's pretty much the intersection of Keister, 21, and Goodale. So A's is in the neighborhood commercial. The Cheshire store is in the neighborhood commercial, and across the street that the old Cheshire Fire Department is in the neighborhood commercial.
So it's very limited to just those 2 locations, or?
Yes.
And one of them may disappear anyways with Uptown, right, Eric?
That's right. That would be if the town board approves the form-based code that we're working on right now, that property would be changed to some form-based code district.
If we're trying,
This pretty much is just allowing additional uses that aren't specifically detailed, that we're trying to open it up for more opportunity.
well,
That's
why did we delete number 12 then?
Because we're allowing residential uses here. It doesn't have to be existing.
Well,
Okay, so it's redundant.
Yep.
Yeah.
12 was
And
redundant.
then the secondary portion of this is that our existing neighborhood commercial zoning district is way out of conformance with the neighborhood. And really not what you want for a neighborhood district anyways. The front setbacks would have to be, 100 feet
Yeah.
from the street, which really makes zero sense in Cheshire. Same with the lot sizes of 1 acre. I don't think there's more than 1 or 2 lots in Cheshire that are 1 acre. Same with the lot width. So these changes bring it into conformance with Cheshire, essentially.
so I don't see those. I printed this out and I didn't see those
Yeah.
because that was one of the issues that I had was the minimum lot sizes I thought were too large and was one of my points. So I don't see that proposed on my
I think that chart says proposed did not show up
Yeah,
in what we got.
Yeah, the
so-
rest of the chart's missing, but he's changing it to proposed of 10,000, 12,000, 20,000 instead of 45,000.
I think we agree. We just didn't have the information in front of us. That's all. I think
That's correct.
it's got to be changed. Just,
Yeah.
we got to know
Yeah.
what it's going to be changed to. Maybe if
This
you
was-
resend
And
it.
you send the updated one, Eric, out before the next meeting?
But what's
This is
out?
this
I
is-
got it on mine.
Yeah, this is the same draft that you're looking at on your screen here. I opened this from the email that I sent you. It's on
Yeah.
your guys' end. You have to
Well,
make sure that the changes are tracked.
Yeah,
Maybe looking at it on an iPad.
I turned on my track changes too, Eric, and they don't show up.
Do you have it on all markup?
Yep.
I got it somehow.
Yeah,
I'm usually the one that doesn't get these things, so.
I printed it right from your email also, Eric, and I did not get the chart with the revised sizes.
yeah,
I'll,
John, you and I got it from November 30th and it did not include,
I printed it from that original email, that's correct.
yeah, it didn't include the zoning specific.
I will send out a PDF with the changes.
There you go. All right.
Whatever a PDF is.
Pretty darn
Any other
fast.
item?
In
Before
any
we
event, the intent here is appropriate. I think we all agree.
Yeah,
Right,
and the numbers look like Cheshire would be close to these numbers, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I came up with them originally.
If you go under section C though, on the new one, the numbering's got to be fixed too.
Okay. That'll give us
Oh,
something to
yeah.
do next meeting.
okay.
All right. Sorry to prolong the discussion, but
Sorry.
Okay, then, our next meeting will be, January 4th. If that's agreeable to everybody. And, I'll
Well,
entertain a motion. I'll
Mr.
entertain a
Cooper,
motion to
Mr.
adjourn.
Cooper be joining
Sorry?
us on the 4th?
Pardon?
Will Mr. Cooper
I-
be joining us on the 4th?
I expect so at this point.
Okay.
But that's subject to change, I guess. Really, at this point, I believe I'll continue on at least on a part-time basis as we kind of
Right.
transition into who will be the new planner, which hasn't been identified yet.
I anticipate Mr. Cooper will be joining you on the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Finch.
That's good because I need somebody to join us from the staff.
Gary, you would have to run the controls.
Is nothing else? And I'd like to get a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Can I actually bring something up just real quick?
Sure.
If we're going to talk about the neighborhood commercial, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about next month? Or Gary, do you just want to have a conversation with me?
Yeah, I can do that in the office. I can't think of anything right offhand, but I don't have the list before me.
Yeah, check your spreadsheet.
I think that the topic of lot coverage and permeable pavers versus non-permeable pavers came up again at our last zoning meeting. Bob, you were there at that meeting also.
Yep.
And it appears that this is an ongoing issue that we need to come to terms with sooner rather than later. The Environmental Conservation Board, prior to our last zoning board meeting, on every case that was presented, recommended the use of permeable pavers as a solution or potential solution for each one of our lot coverage issues that came before the board. And I think
I only
it's
have-
long overdue.
I have yeah, I know, but I have one comment on that. So we have 2 sites that did do pervious pavement, a couple of sites on the lake that did pervious pavers and stuff. It's a long-term maintenance issue. You have to vacuum and clean them. 2 of the sites actually asphalted over their pervious pavements. And the other ones, the sand and the grit and the stone and the salt and everything builds up and they are no longer pervious any longer.
Well, you
I
know,
agree with you, but I think that this is a conversation we should have next month if we're going to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm
No.
sorry. I just wanted to bring it up.
No,
I
you're
think it's a
fine.
good topic. John, I go along with you. And the last thing I'll say is a lot of it makes sense, but going along with what Chris said, sometimes it's more about good intentions than what you're really going to have later on. And that's kind of tough for the ZBA because good intentions are just that. But you don't know if you're going, what you're really going to have down the road.
Can I ask, is this, I'm presuming this is on a teeny lot in the RLD?
No, this has come up on numerous, it comes up every meeting, Tom.
Yep.
And I'm not exaggerating. It's come up at every meeting.
And they're generally small lots in the RLD?
Not
A lot
necessarily.
of times in Fallbrook, but yeah, not necessarily.
Okay,
It did come up on Sandy Beach last meeting, and it was referenced about Fallbrook at last meeting, but it comes up on other lots also. And
Since we're talking about the ECB's changes or what they're kind of saying anyways, the ECB also recommended that the ordinance committee take a look at the zoning for Fallbrook Park, Poplar Beach, Sandy Beach, those communities on the east side within the RLD that really don't conform to any of the standards. I believe their recommendation was that the ordinance committee look at potentially having a district that, you know, conforms to those lots there instead of, you know, requiring the RLD standards, which are more for either the west side or for
well,
Greenfield.
again, the RLD standards, Doug will fill in when it happened, but we acknowledge that on the west side that something like 80% of the lots didn't comply with whatever the minimum lot size and frontage was 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when we tried to accommodate by setting 3 lot sizes.
There can't be many lots left on the east side that hasn't had a tear down and a rebuild.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's meet on December 4th and Eric will get the information out.
January 4th.
January 4th, yeah. And so everybody have happy holidays and see you then.
See you
too.
next year. Merry Christmas.
Take care.
Merry
I want
Christmas.
to be where Bob is.
No,
I can arrange it.
he's in Nova Scotia.
Damn cold here.
Yeah, you know they're fake because they still have the leaves on the trees.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Terry, I
Oh,
hear you're
guys.
having a birthday party for James at the Moose.
Yeah, I know. The birthday party was actually involved something called FaceTime last night. So
Oh, you did it. Okay. All right.
yeah,
You're a good dad. All right.
preempt.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Everybody take care. Talk to you later. Bye now.